organization is adopted with the ISO standards. Like that, so we have the several international standard bodies. We have, so starting from the we have few here. So ISO, the International Organization for Standardization. So ITU, we have when you have the communication options and all those things. So the International Telecommunications Union, then the Electrotechnical commissions for the international. So these are all the international bodies we have. So in that we have the few technical committees, national member bodies, as well as some US accredited standard committees we have. Okay, for example, we can say that whenever you are dealing with the healthcare information, some of those things, so we have a TC 215 healthcare informatics, we have like that JTC1 information technology. So the individual technical committees sometimes will be joined to have the adopt the standards when you are practicing telemedicine and others. Okay, so we know that the HL7 and DICOM standards are very, very important when you want to practice the telemedicine. Okay, so so the adopting the international standards, it's a very good initiative because so the healthcare professionals we can connect worldwide. So the same format can be used, the unique format can be used. So that is the reason we are adapting. For example, the organizations will have the unique ID number. Okay, each and every employee will have the unique ID number, so they will specific. So that's a some few letters they will be having as a standard. Okay, so 3 letters, 4 letters, like that. So that is also, so one of the things you need to adapt some kind of unique format. So here adapting the international standards, so you are widening your organization's information, so everybody can come and view, so the format will be common. Okay, so that is what you need to understand here. So similarly we have like whenever you are practicing the biomedical equipments and other things, so we have like TC 62 electrical equipment in medical practice. So a lot of standard bodies. We have a lot of technical committees. We have, for example, one of the best example we can say is a IEEE standards. So even writing a paper, when you want to publish in the IEEE conferences and other things, we need to adopt the IEEE paper format. Okay, so like that. So we have, so like that we have the independent STOs. The SDO is nothing but the standard development organizations. So we have IEEE Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Like we have our in telemedicine practice, we have a DICOM. So the whatever the imaging modality we are using, so we will be adapting the particular standards. Okay, so the DICOM standards we will adapting, so that you can transfer the information. Okay, so with the adapting the standards, so that it can be transferred in the worldwide, anywhere it can be taken. So those who are adapting the standards, so it will be comfortable for them to have to follow the guidelines and all things. Like that we have like ISTSDO, so the International Healthcare Technology Standards Development Organizations, like W3C, AAMI. So this all will come into the under the classification of independent SDOs and all. Okay, so we have, so now this already I told you, right? So it will be adapting with the MOU, signing of the MOUs and all those things. Then they will be joining together to form a kind of a committee and all those things. Okay, so for us in the telemedicine practice, we need to know about the HL7 as well as the DICOM. So the DICOM, it's in the introduced in the 1970s. Okay, so kind of a digital image. Okay, then they then they slowly they developed. 1983 they started with the images, whatever the image modality they are using, so acquisition of imaging. So afterwards they will be they adopted in 1983, sending the digital images to the printers and other things. So the printer format. So because so once if you are taking the all the images in the printed format, so the radiologists and all those things, doctors can see with the printer format and all those things. So they came with the this adopting this technology in 1985. So they connected with the ACR and NEMA. So they adopted the standard. Okay, so then they used with the kind of the different interfaces and all those things to have the control on the equipments as well as the data elements, whatever their acquisition is takes place with that. Okay. In 1993, they started with the publication of DICOM, so version 3.0. So this DICOM standards, once if you are adapting, so you'll be already we know that the standard has to be adapted, so we'll be transferring the information over the network connectivity. Okay, so when you are sending the over the network, so you'll be looking for the TCP/IP the locations and all those. So we have like a different image formats for the different imaging modalities, like a CT, MRI, the ultrasounds and others. Okay, so this all formats they fixed in the publication of in 1993. Okay, so then they'll be looking for the all the information should be unique. So the information has to be kept in the unique way, so that it will be identified easily for the all the healthcare professions and all this. Okay, so then they came with the kind of printing management. So when they came with the printing management and all those things, they adapted with the page compositing as well as the printer controls everything. So with that, they are adapting the standards. So they gone for the film print management and all those. Then they in 1993, so they introduced for the cardiology problems also. So the kind of digital angiography and all. So when you're dealing with the kind of image modality and all those things, so you'll be having the data, so the image. So the that time in 1993 they got a massive amount of data, 500 MB. So then they're going for the consultations and other things. So how they'll be looking for uh, the uh, the film and how they will be diagnosing. So that's needed physical media for the consultation and other things. Then the committee wants to take some kind of decisions to work with the DICOM. So the radiologists as well as the cardiologists, they will be formed as a committee. So they were working for the collaborative work on this. And then they started with the how the image acquisitions can be, so how we can manage. So we need to manage that. Then they added with them the manufacturers. So the imaging modalities will be there. So different equipment and others. So they started consulting with the European equipment manufacturers and others. So they framed some kind of protocols to get the workflow to be done. Okay. Then once you have all the information about the imaging and all those things, then you need to have the reporting structures. So that is also it's a very very important. So because so the image is there, so writing the image structure also it's very very important. So they introduced writing the report. So that's a structured report. Because let's say example, when you're writing a paper, so you'll be writing as a kind of the abstract introduction, and you will be moving towards the literature survey and like that. So the structure reporting should be okay. So then they introduce the structure reporting. Then they formed with uh, the um, the DICOM controlled terminology and templates. So they will be adapting the templates. So this is the history of how they develop. Then the workflow issue with the HL7, so health level 7. So it's this is also one of the important thing for the telemedicine. So we need to adopt the standards. Okay, so in HL7, this is also it's early 1990s. They started. So this is mainly to have the communications. Okay, so to establish the communication between the interdepartmental the locations. Okay, so when the patient is coming for the coming to the consultation to the doctor, so the doctor will be raising the order to go to the radiology department to get some kind of imaging. Okay, so for the patient, so they will be raising the orders to the radiology department. So for that, so they they started with that. So when the patient is visiting the radiology department, so whatever the requirements, the what kind of imaging has to be done, so they will be giving us raising the order. Okay, so when they raise the order, so in the radiology department they should understand that what is the patient ID, what is the request from the physician. So they need to understand. Okay, so with the patient ID, so the radiology department they can identify, so that they can take which imaging method modality is required. So they will be taking, and they will be they'll be fulfilling the requirements by the physicians. Okay, from the radiology department. So when you look for this HL7, so we need to adopt the exact file numbers. Okay, so the patient ID we can say, so patient account number we can say. So that is very very important. So every patient will have the unique patient ID. Okay, so through this number we can identify another person. So we need to have the HL7 the reporting structures also. So we have some issues with the reporting structures. So when you are looking for the all the documents about the patients and all those things, so we need to have the structured reporting levels and all those things. So that is one of the important thing. Then the disconnect on units of structures. So that is also one of the another thing. Okay, so we need to have the structured reporting so that it will be helping. So to overcome these issues, so they started with the joint HL7 and DICOM. So they started with the memorandum. So of the understanding established. Okay, so that the both the organizations will work together. So both the organizations want to work. So we have DICOM standards, we have HL standards. So the patient informations will be in the unique format. Okay, so that is what we introducing they introduced the HL7 standards. So version 2.x we are going to see for today. So when you look for the HL7 standards, so why we need the data? So because the physician wants data from the radiology department, so the data has to be interchanged. So whatever the imaging is done from the radiology department, it has to be transferred to the physician. So the data interchange we need to enable here. So once if you're enabling the data interchange between the radiology to the physician, so the physician is capable of analyzing and diagnosing with the following the treatment for the patient. So we need to have the standards. Okay, so we need to use the standards. So when you're adapting the standards, so it will becoming the universal. So we can worldwide we can access. So any physician can access, any radiology can access. So that is the reason we are adopting the HL7 standards. So when you're using with the standards, so we have like a electronic health record vendors associations. So this community support and use the HL7 standards, because everywhere we want to establish the standards. Okay, so when you're using HL7, so it's a very easy to use and easier to accommodate also. So when you want to establishing the HL7 standards, So you need to look for the maintenance also. So it's not a huge investment, so it can be maintained with it. Okay, so when you are looking for the starting the organizations and all those things, so you'll be joining with the projects and all those things, so with the so because you want to become a more universal. So when you are becoming the more universal, so your whatever the organizations takes place with the patient, the details and all those things can be shared with the other hospitals if you are adapting them with the standard. So when you look for the data interchange, we have different choices. We have, so the different versions are there. So when you're looking for the different versions, HL7s, different series are there. So we are going to see a few series here. So we are going to see a few examples here. Okay. So the whatever the data, clinical data, so we need to adopt the architecture. So the clinical data architectures is there. So in that we have the continuity of CAR document as well as the common document types we have. So these two areas are very, very important. So whatever the clinical data about the patients, so you need to follow the architecture. So you need to have, so because the CAR document is nothing but the continuity. So continuously you need to monitor, you need to have the document, so that after 10 years or 15 years the patients are coming. So if we have the clinical data about the patients, it will be easy to diagnose, or easy to predict, easy to give the kind of raise the orders for the test, so that it will be easy for the treatment also. So to have the analysis point of view. Okay, so we have the different choice of data interchanges. So when you look for the different choices we have, so the what is the immediate recommendations if we see, so the version 2.x is the immediate choice, we can say the recommended choice, we can say. So because the observation we need to note it down here. So this observation OBX segment, so this OBX have all the informations. So all the messages will be in the straight format. Okay, so this segment will have all the informations as well as the data content. So it will be easy. So I will be showing the examples in the later slides, so you can check with that. So how the data can be carried here. So all the content, how they are carrying it out. Okay. So this is also, it's the version 2.x is the implementing very easy, as well as the so straightforward we have. Okay, so we have, when you are adopting the standards and all those things, so you have the implementation manuals. So we have like the conformance agreement for the common data elements. So because we will be using the patient's data, so we need to have, so it should not be it should not be free to use. Okay, you should have the some kind of agreement. So how the data can be exchanged, so what are the common terminology can be used, so how this can be taken, because it's not something it's taken in easy way. So if you're not adapting the common terminology and all those things, then it will be a problem to the patients, because all the clinical data, so based on the clinical data only the physician will be diagnosed. Okay, so all the common terminology can be used when you're using all those things, terminology. So we can have the very good control over the process. So the controlled interoperability can be handled. So it will be easy for the all the healthcare professions, those who are working on it. So this version 2.x messaging standards we have. So we have the information models. So so the that will give you all the content. Okay. So this hospital information system. So it's focused initially. So then later we'll be moving towards into the other areas also. So for the ambulatory care and other things. Okay. So the HL7 standards most widely used everywhere. So all the organizations, they will be adopting the standards, because it's a unique format. If you're adopting, it will be widening universal everywhere. Okay. So we have a lot of advantages when you're using the HL7 standards. So a lot of organizations will be adopting this. Okay. So the messaging standards when you're using, so you'll be having the all the informations in the structured format. Okay, so all the data will be in the structured format. So all the segments will be filled. That data fields you will be looking. Say example, your registration number and your name. So your registration number comes follows with the your name. Okay, so like that. So all the informations will be available to that. That's a messaging standards. So sometimes the fields may be repeating also. So whatever the values you have, the data, so it can be paired with that. Okay, so when you are using with this HL7 standards, so this is going to have includes of whatever the unique code you have under name, terminology, that's what I was saying, right? So registration number followed by your name. So this is, and they are 4 years you will be having the unique the code with the name. Okay, so like that, so the different terminology can be adapted. So when you look for the messaging standards, it's very easy to use as well as the understand. So we can have the very fast, quick implementations with that. Okay, so because the standard you need to follow. When you are following the standard, it will be easy to understand also. So when you look that, so it should have the some clear idea that those, okay, this is a patient ID, this is a patient name, so this is the order is raised from the physician. So we need to understand easily so that it will be easy for the in the healthcare professions to understand what data is conveyed from the physician to the technician or technician to the physician. Okay, so when you are working with the this messaging standards and all those things, so you will be working with the in the organizations. Okay, so from the sender and receiver can be both, can be in the single organizations, or it can be connected with the other organization also when they are signed with the MOUs and all those things. So it can work with that. Okay, so in the single organizations, we can say that it's a tightly bound. When you look for the if it is not connected, with the few organizations, so if it is not connected, so it will not work in the proper case. So you need to have the kind of MOUs and all those things so that it will be easy. Okay, when you look for the interfaces and all those things, so it's going to save the lot of money on that. Okay, so money saving can be handled. So the functional areas we have like ADT, so abstract data types. So we have the starting from the registration, orders. So when the patient is coming, so it will be looking for the registration. So the registrations will be done. The orders from the physician and the orders can be raised. So the from the physician and pharmacy orders, test orders, anything can be done. And similarly, we have the results, patient financials, query languages, everything can be taken. So vaccination reporting, clinical trials. So nowadays it's a vaccination reporting also. It's one of the important in during this pandemic, right? So scheduling of the appointments, referrals. If the physician wants to refer to the any expertise, so the reference can be taken. The medical records, patient care. So lot of areas we can concentrate with the standards, the functional areas we can say. So when you look for the kind of clinical lab automations. Transactions and all those things, even when you want to access the patient master files and all those things can be done with that. Okay, so we have like all areas, functional areas, this can be conducted. So we are going to see some examples with that. So this version 2.6 chapters, we have the starting from the information. So the patient informations, we have patient administration, order entry, queries, financial management. So these are all the areas we will be checking with it. Okay, so one by one I will be showing here. So when you look for the transaction model of HL7 basics, so we have connected with the network. So the network is going to have the kind of event. Okay, so the event, so we have, for the event we will be having the two connected people. So one is the lab systems, another one is from the system. Okay, so whenever you are raising the request, whenever you are raising the request, so the request has to be accepted. Okay, then it has to be it has to be acknowledged also. So the event is triggered. Okay, so the event is triggered, so we will be sending as a once the admin triggering the event, so they will be sending the information message to the through the network. So once the network, it can be any, say example, they want to go for the seeking, so the information is transferred through the network to the lab systems. So the lab system will receive the information, then they will be sending the assignment through the network to the again to the trigger who's enabled the trigger event. So it will be receiving the HL7 appointment message. Okay, so this is the transactions model of any HL7 basics. Okay, so when you look this kind of information, so we need to understand that. So when you are sending, you will be sending the information. So you will be having the in the another end, you will be having the receiving the same informations. Then they will be sending the assignments. So you'll be kind of handshaking. Say example, when you're meeting your friend, if you're saying hi, so the from other end you should get the response, hello, how are you, like that. Okay, so this so sending and receiving the information, as well as sending the assignment. So I received your information. Okay, so this is a basic transactions model software. So with that, so that's what I was explaining here. So you can, so okay, so now we'll be seeing some examples here. So when you look for the message header, message. Okay, so this is the so you can see that from where the sender or placer is there. So the SMS, then you can have the receiver and filler to whom you are going to. So this unique code, you can say that to whom you are going to send. So the receiver addressing has to be there, sender address should be there. Okay, you understand what I'm trying to say? So then you need to have the time and the date, which date and time you have. Then you can have the what kind of message type you are. So ADT is the abstract data type. So the message type also you can give. So the lot of message typing is there. So I'm just going to show the few examples here. So what is the trigger type? So the trigger type is A03. Then we have the message number. So each and every message will have the number. So the unique numbers, so 1632 is the unique numbers. So which versions you are using? So we are using, already I told you, the 2.6 versions we are using here for the. So this is the structure of the addressing the envelope. Okay, like that we have. So this is the identity of the patient. So the patient ID. So the patient will have the unique ID. So the PID, so the Z12345. So the patient unique ID we have, check digit we have, then the patient name we have, then we have the mother's maiden name, then we have the date of birth of the patients, and then we have the gender. So we have the address location of the patients, then we have the city, state, as well as we have the zip code, and we have where their telephone numbers and all those things they have. Okay, so in the few lines we got all the information. So this will give you all informations. PID segment will give you the identity the patient. So entire informations can be uh, shared here. It can be checked here. So that is the advantage of the HL7 messaging. Okay, you understand now? So like that we have the define the visit or encounter. So we have the patient locations, as well as the who is attending. with that what kind of service they require. So the service they require. So we have unique IDs and all those things. You can search into it. Okay, like that we have the information specific to the orders. So I told you, right? So the request, when they're raising the request, so they need to place the order number. So based on the order number only, they will be looking for the orders, whether it's done or not. So who is filler order number, then universal service ID, if you are giving, so it can be accessed everywhere. Then the text, so where the location, so US pelvic is nothing but the ultrasound pelvic region. So ultrasound test has to be done in the pelvic region. Okay, then you need to set with the local set, as well as you need to have the who is the request, service, and what is the reason for the study. Okay, so here the study says as the ultrasound pelvic we need to do. Okay, so the reason for the study is the fibroids. So all the informations will be given here itself to get the service done. Okay, so when you are raising the order, so you need to raise with the order numbers. So what kind of test you are going to do, why you are going to do. You need, if you are keeping the universal service ID, it will be easy to access everywhere. So they can refer with that universal service ID will be matched there, so that it can be taken. Who is the requester? So what is the reason for the study also? So all the informations will be given here. So like that we have like a you can print the results. So when you are printing the results, so you will be taking with the all the informations with them. Okay, so who is going to when they are going for the studies, so they will be looking for the interpreter. So who is going to have the interpreter? So that is also, it's very very important, so that all the results can be done. So like that we have like a the HL7 result messages. So you have, so the different segments we have the PID, OBR, OBX, so observations and all those things. Okay, so this is an example here, it's given. So the different exam results messages. So you'll be having the which segment you are working, the data field, what kind of components is required. Then we have like a flexible segment. So in the flexible segment also we can have, so which OBX we are using, the what is the data you can have. So you can fix with that which template reading you are looking. So with that you can have the flexible segment also. Okay, so this is another example for that. OBX with the coded value. So we have the which data type as a coded element. So we have then the code that identifies that data in OBX5. So the blood group and all those things. Then we have the code from the Linux and then we have the group, which group. So this is the entire syntax we have here. So when you understand, so already I told you, I showed you the PIDs and all those things.